Welcome everyone and everyone in the gallery here tonight to our beautiful Golden Plains Shire offices. My name is Helena Kirby and I'm Mayor of the Golden Plains Shire Council. After a full year, it is exciting to be able to welcome the public to tonight's council meeting, which is taking place from the Golden Plains Civic Centre, council chambers and via live stream. As chair of the meeting, I give my consent for this open council meeting to be streamed live, recorded and published online in accordance with section 14 of Council's Governance Rules of 2020. Myself as the chair and or the CEO have the discretion and authority to at any time direct the termination or interruption of the live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory or potentially inappropriate to be published. The stream will stop at the conclusion of the meeting. Should technical issues prevent the continuation of the stream, a recording will be made available on our website. Those councillors, staff and members of the public in attendance in person tonight are advised to practice social distancing and the hygiene recommendations of the Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you. Our opening declaration. I will now recite the opening declaration on behalf of all councillors. We, the councillors of the Golden Plains Shire, declare that we will undertake on every occasion to carry out our duties in the best interests of the community and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Governance so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of the Golden Plains Shire. Golden Plains Shire spans the traditional lands of the Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar people. We acknowledge them as the traditional owners and custodians. Council pays its respects to its Wadawurrung elders, past, present and emerging. Council also respects the Eastern Maar elders, past, present and emerging. Council extends that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Golden Plains Shire. Apologies and leave of absence. Are there any apologies or leave of absence, councillors? Nil. Confirmation of the minutes. Councillors, we have a resolution before us to confirm the minutes of the meeting of Council held on the 23rd of March 2021 and on the 16th of April 2021 as circulated. Can I have a mover? Councillor Whitfield was first and then Councillor Cunningham second. All those in favour? Carried. Declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest, councillors? I have a declaration of interests. It is item 7.13, the heritage designation. It is of general conflict of interest, and the nature is perceived conflict of interest within the community of Rokewood and the Shire, and the sharing of a petition, but noting that I did not sign the petition or my family. Excuse me, Councillor Sharkey, I haven't finished yet. Sorry. Item 8.4. A motion to rescind the previous resolution of Council adopted at the unscheduled meeting on the 16th of the 4th, 21. It is a general conflict of interest and the nature is a perceived conflict of interest within the community of Rokewood and the Shire and the sharing of a petition, but noting that I did not sign the petition or my family. Thank you. Councillor Sharkey.
Could you please speak into the speaker just so the people at home?
My apologies, Mr CEO. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on item 7.3, 18 Yorkshire Close, a perceived conflict of interest. Thank you.
Any other councillors? There has been no public questions submitted tonight. We have a citizen recognition. Before we consider the formal agenda, Golden Plains Shire is proud to recognise the fantastic achievements and contributions made by young people in the community. We are fortunate today to present 2 Citizen Recognition Awards, which includes a Certificate of Recognition to William McKechnie and William Gilbert. Sorry, William. I'll now invite William Gilbert and William McKechnie to come forward, please.
Come through to the middle here.
Yep, just in the middle. William's not here. Sorry. Didn't know the other William wasn't here, sorry.
That's all right. He's running late.
Oh, is he? Oh, we could have moved this on a little bit then. All right. Oh, is it falling out? No. Oh, thank you. Okay. This young gentleman is being recognised for recently competing in the Australian Rowing National Competition in Lake Barrington in Tasmania, as well as William. William Gilbert is 18 years old and lives in Cambrian Hill, has been competing in rowing for 5 years. William McKechnie is a 16-year-old and lives in Enfield and has been competing in rowing since he was 13 years old. On behalf of Council, I would like to present you with a certificate and a $250 voucher and a Golden Plains Shire pen. Well done, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. There we go.
Thank you.
Pretty exciting. Again, congratulations. And if you'd like to say a few words, I'd be happy for you to speak. I'll just swap sides. There you go.
I'd like to thank the whole council and the Shire for the recognition of this award. Rowing isn't easy, but it's a long journey, and we train a lot, twice a day, sometimes every single day of the week. And to get to nationals is an achievement in itself, let alone to be able to get a bronze medal, which was awesome for us. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. Is the other young boy running very late?
I don't know. He just said he was running late, but if he does come, we can.
Okay, thank you. I'd hate for him to miss out. Okay, sorry. Yep. Councillors, we now move on to the Australian citizenship ceremony. Would you like him to get up and come up? Thank you. It is my honour as the Mayor of the Golden Plains Shire Council to be authorised to receive the Pledge of Citizenship of the Commonwealth of Australia here tonight. The citizenship ceremony is being conducted as prescribed in the Australian Citizenship Act 2007 and the Australian Citizenship Regulations 2007, under the authority of the Minister for Immigration, Citizenship, Migrant Services and Multicultural Affairs. I would like to congratulate Grant Jones, Terry Meek on their decision to become an Australian and invite you to join me in the centre of the room so we can begin the ceremony. I can get. No worries, come down a bit further up here. That's better. Citizenship is a common bond which unites all Australians, whether they are Australia's traditional inhabitants, first-generation migrants, or the descendants of earlier settlers. Our rich heritage stems from the contributions made by all our citizens. As a nation, Australia has a commitment to various values and institutions, including parliamentary democracy, equality for all citizens before the law, freedom of speech and religion, and an opportunity for all Australian citizenships also bring... As a nation, Australia has a commitment to various values and institutions, including parliamentary democracy, equality for all citizens before the law, freedom of speech and religion, and opportunity for all. Australian citizenship also brings responsibility and duty to obey our laws, to participate in the electoral process by voting, and to serve on a jury of your peers if called to do so. Candidates, Australia, and in particular the community of the Golden Plains Shire, take a great pride in your decision to choose to become part of this nation. I would now like to invite Mr Eric Braslis, the CEO, to read a message from the Honorary Alex Hawke MP, Minister for Immigration, Citizenship, Migrant Services and Multicultural Affairs.
Today you become an Australian citizen. We are immensely proud of what we've achieved as a nation, and we welcome you in joining us. Our history and culture has been forged over thousands of years, first through Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and more recently with people from all corners of the earth. Australia has succeeded as a nation by embracing and defending our national values. We believe in freedom and dignity of each individual, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of association. We value the rule of law, democracy, and equality of all people. We stand with other democracies in helping to defend and protect these hard-fought freedoms. We are a resilient nation. Drought, bushfires, floods, and global pandemic have challenged our normal way of life. However, our social cohesion, a key strength of Australia, has never been more important. Upon taking the pledge of commitment today, I call on you to embrace these values and the rights and responsibilities of Australian citizenship, and play an active part in your local communities to build even a stronger nation. On behalf of the Australian Government, I congratulate you on reaching this very special day.
I'd also like to thank the Minister for providing the letter of support for our candidates here tonight. Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the community of the Commonwealth of Australia, and Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations, uniting all Australians while respecting their diversity. Persons on whom Australian citizenship is conferred enjoy these rights and undertake to accept these obligations. A, by pledging loyalty to Australia and its people, by sharing their democratic beliefs, by respecting their rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. I would now like to invite Grant Jones to pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. Please state your full name.
Grant Jones.
From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. I would now like to present you with your certificate. There we go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll shake hands in a minute. I'd like to now invite Terry Meek to pledge your affirmation to Australia. If you could please repeat after me. Please state your full name.
Terry Maria Meek.
From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect,
rights and liberties I share,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Okay. Beautiful. I'd now like to present you with your Australian certificate. Thank you. That's your citizenship
Thank you very
certificate.
much.
Thank you. I would now like to invite everyone in the gallery who wishes to publicly affirm their commitment to Australia and its people to stand and join in repeating this affirmation. As an Australian citizen, I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I uphold and obey. Please stay standing for the National Anthem.
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are born and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is guided by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
I didn't know if we were going to sing the second verse or not. I know. You may now be seated. Thank you. Candidates, I welcome you as citizens of Australia and I congratulate you on your decision to become an Australian citizen. You have made a pledge of commitment to Australia and its people and have been provided with a certificate to mark the occasion. This act of law is now completed, and on behalf of all Australians, I congratulate you and hope you have a happy and successful future as citizens of Australia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of the Golden Plains Shire Council, I'd like to present you both with a native plant and a Golden Plains Shire pen and pin. That concludes the ceremonies for this evening. So those that have been a part of our recognition and citizenship ceremonies this evening, please feel free to stay, but you don't need to be obligated to stay if you don't want to. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done. Congratulations.
We'll do a swappies.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. Thank you.
Congratulations, both of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We will now move on to consider the formal agenda. Business reports for decision. The Delegates report on the 23rd of March 2021 to the 26th of April 2021. Thank you.
Councillors, this is the monthly delegates report, highlighting where councillors have been over the last month at various delegations that councillors are officially to attend. and the report is there for your consideration.
Is there anyone? Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Getson. Councillor, would you like to speak?
A few words. It's been a busy month by the looks of us, especially yourself, Mayor Kirby. If I can, just I attended the Tourism Greater Geelong and Bellarine board meeting, which was very interesting, extremely interesting, as tourism throughout the region starts to recover from COVID. So a few things has come out of that, which was the decision to engage an independent governance elevator. Future discussion following the board, the planning day that they had, which identified key priorities from the planning day, which are 4 pillars, which was collaboration, industry, capability, marketing, and a sustainable destination development. There was a draft action plan discussed, which covered the initiatives for the next 12 months, which was a review of the budget for the coming year, and very importantly, identifying opportunities in each location and the ability to promote these activities in each of the areas. So I found it a very interesting day, and a lot of people are very interested in what goes on here in Golden Plains and our townships. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. So I'll open the floor up for any other anyone around the table first before we move on. Councillor Whitfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also attended the opening of the Invalid Youth Drop-In Centre, which is operating, and this is an advertisement, throughout Term 2 on Wednesday afternoons from 3 till 6 p.m. And facilitated by council staff. The council youth workers, Mark and Carl, were pleased to meet in person some of the youth that they had run programs for remotely during COVID, and for the first time they got to meet them face to face. There were 2 Invalid locals who were, they'd rather remain out of the spotlight, but they drove this venture, and with council's support, this program has eventuated. It's an excellent initiative that the community had indicated they needed, and it provides these youth with other options for health and well-being rather than the usual football, netball and cricket. 31 youth attended. Of those, a good mix of ages between 10 and 15, while an even mix of boys and girls was also there. One of the youth workers from councils commented to me that this was the most attended youth drop-in centre he had facilitated across the Shire. So that's a fantastic effort, and if this project proves to be as successful as it looks, it could really set a template for other communities. And just secondly, on another matter, I know all Anzac Day events were attended very well by the community. I was down at the Invalid one, where approximately 200 people came to the event, and it was an honour to lay a wreath on behalf of the Shire. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Whitfield.
And quite a few other MPs. Car boot sale at Ross Creek I attended, which was a great day. I attended the football first night game in the Central Highlands at Linton, where I was privileged to be able to toss a coin. Also attended the Anzac Day at Linton School. I attended the Smilesdale Anzac Day service, 10 a.m, had an 11 a.m, and of course down here at Bannockburn for the football match as well. And I also attended the Women's Burn Day at Cape Clear. It was 2 Saturday afternoons. It took up all afternoons. I didn't make the whole time for it. And it's run by Cape Clear Fire Brigade, and it teaches women from all over the state to come and learn how to drive a truck, how to light a fire, how to put it out, etc. Captain Michael Rowe asked me to pass this book on to you, present to the Shire for safekeeping. With that, Madam Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Getson. A pretty full-on month, and actually, please thank the Fire Brigade, because that'd be great in the library of the Shire. Councillor Sharkey.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This month was a good one with the Geelong Regional Library. I got asked to be on a panel. I think there's 4 of us board members that got asked to facilitate for the next CEO. So that was a very good process to have gone through. The Geelong Regional Library now has a new CEO whose surname will be easier to pronounce as time goes on, but I'll have a go. Her name is Vanessa Schnecker, and she is fantastic. She comes from regional roads development, so she's going to be fantastic for that role. Really excited for that and into the future with the library. So that's taken a good bit of time there over the last month, and then also attended at the last MAV Strategic Planning Day. Myself and Councillor O attended that, and sort of gave our input into that, mainly probably from a peri-urban perspective on what should be the strategic focus of the MAV into the future. Also acknowledge that today we've, as councillors, had a long day, been in here at 9 o'clock this morning, but I think probably one of the highlights of today as well was having a fantastic presentation by the Wadawurrung. Karina Eccles came in for a couple of hours, so that was absolutely fantastic. So another big day for us councillors, but probably wraps me up for the month, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Gamble.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Zoom on G21 Transport Pillar. It's reporting by the Department of, it was various segments, but there was Department of Transport Senior Officer and getting freight off Ryrie Street. Ryrie Street's to have more of a people focus. There's information on the Green Spine progress, which is cycling infrastructure. There's also a proposal. It's open to submissions now to allow public to use school buses for transport, which has potential good outcomes for our shire and our transport issues. There's also a presentation on a smart bus proposal called Bay to Beach, which connects Geelong to Torquay. And also Geelong Sustainability representative talking about active transport and the Better Bike Connections program. Also, I attended the EVEN seminar, the first day of it. They had 4 days last week. EVEN is the Environmental Volunteer and Agency Network, Central West area. It was a lunchtime Zoom forum. It was Meet the Land Manager. So I encourage any people listening in the community or anybody else to if they're involved in smaller groups, in volunteering for things like land care and friends groups, then they should try and get in touch with this group. It's managed out of Dwelp in Ballarat, but it's particularly for these smaller groups. And this one, Meet the Land Manager, so there's presentations by various managers, including councils, and our own David Collins presented one day, and it's very professionally hosted and organised. I also attended Energy Futures Forum along with our Mayor. It was a sold-out event in the Geelong West Hall. It was quite unusual to go to an event that was so full of people in a big hall. It was very high-powered speakers and experts in many fields, including hydrogen, virtual power plants, neighbourhood batteries, Victorian greenhouse alliances with councils banding together. It's organised around themes with experts in their field given 10 minutes each, followed by a group Q&A. So it was really punchy sort of event, talking about a lot of big issues. The first speaker, for example, was the Minister for Energy, Environment and Climate Change. Second was Ian Dunlop, who was one-time Chief of Australian Business and the coal industry too. So he's now a really strong advocate for tackling climate change. So also for the record, I went in the Bannockburn Park Run at the Bannockburn Bush, also a great event that I encourage community people to go to, and I managed to come in just ahead of Councillor Sharkey. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Councillor Rowe.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. What I'd like to add is I attended the Anzac Day event at Shelford and laid a wreath there on behalf of the Golden Plains Shire. Also attended the Anzac Day event at Meredith and laid a wreath there as well on behalf of the Golden Plains Shire. Also attended the opening of the lights at Victoria Park on the same day. That was a great event, and yeah, and watched Bannockburn to win on the day. So, thank you.
Councillor Rowe, yes, we did have an enjoyable day by all councillors that turned up to watch Bannockburn. Councillor Cunningham.
Nothing further, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I had quite a few things on the board this month. I won't repeat what some of them already said, but I also had MAV procedure training. That was great. We had K-Rock interview. There was the Small Business Friendly Council Charter signing ceremony for helping small business within the Shire. The virtual meeting with Catherine King. So as we, a lot of the Shire might be moving into her electorate, it was good to catch up with Catherine King. So that'll be something to think about, where most of the Shire might be moved from the Wannon electorate into the Ballarat electorate. And once again, the Geelong Energy Forum was a great night and some great speakers. So other than that, I think everyone's had a really busy week, and I also paid my respects to the Anzacs as well by being at Corrindap at 6 a.m. and then Rokewood, and then being down at the Anzac game at Bannockburn, so for the opening of the lights with Sarah Henderson. So thank you very much. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Okay, we have William that's turned up. William McKechnie. Would you like to come forward, please? Sorry to repeat this, but I will, because you weren't here, that's fine. Golden Plains Shire is proud to recognise the fantastic achievements and contributions made by young people in the community. We are fortunate today to present 2 Citizens Awards, which included William earlier and now yourself. This young gentleman is being recognised for recently competing in the Australian Rowing National Competition in Lake Barrington in Tasmania as well. William is 16 years old, lives in Enfield and has been competing in rowing since he was 13. On behalf of Council, I would like to present you with a certificate, a $250 voucher and a Golden Plains Shire pen. And I'd just like to congratulate you both on your achievements so far, and we hope to see you back maybe in the Australian team. Congratulations. And if there's anything you'd like to say.
I'm pretty thankful for the amount of support that I've gotten, not only from my coach but also from the parents and the community around our rowing program. That really made the whole experience a whole lot more enjoyable. Having a positive community around that area make everything run a lot smoother and yeah, it's just a whole lot better, a lot more fun.
Oh, great. And that's what sport's all about, having fun.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7.2, P04281-3920 Midland Highway, the Meredith, amendment to an existing poultry farm permit. I'll
Madam Mayor,
thank you, Mr. Josephine.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, if there's no questions from councillors, I'd like to move this motion straight away, if that's okay.
Anyone who'd like to speak for or against the motion?
If there's no questions on it to a director, I'd like to move the motions.
Oh,
We do have that's the next one, sorry.
so no speakers?
I'll second
All right,
it. I'll
thank
second it,
you.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe, then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, this item is before us as a council with one single objector. This item fits within the scheme. It passes everything there. My frustration with this one, and with whilst we should respect every single objector and listen to the concerns, one of the big frustrations that I get from community members is our planning department and how long things are taking in the process. And we're in a post-COVID world where we want to try and stimulate economic development and get things moving faster. This process on this application has been stalled with this objection here. This objector has objected to this, rightfully so. Everyone within a 1 kilometre radius was notified of this planning permit and had the right to object. So one single objector has put in a three-sentence objection.
As a point of order, Councillor Sharkey, I don't think you should be criticising someone for putting an objection in. They were entitled to do so, and that is only your opinion. But
absolutely, what I'm talking about, Madam Mayor, is the process, and that objector has that absolute right to do so. But in reading this this report, the objector was invited to come in, and the applicant and 2 staff members sat and waited for half an hour. The objector didn't turn up. The objector didn't send any apologies, and has really stalled the whole process. And whilst and you are right in saying that, Madam Mayor, and I support that, whilst we are here to listen to objectors, I'm getting it from community members that these processes are taking too long. So with that in mind, and I know that I know we'll be having a discussion into the future around delegation, I'd really love to be able to support an objector and listen to their concerns and see what they are. But when an objector doesn't turn up to a planning meeting, doesn't send any apologies, it really slows down economic development in our shire. This fits within the planning scheme. We have planners here that have given us a list of reasons in which it should be passed, but I think that I'm happy to see this forward, but really want to put emphasis on the fact that the frustration I'm getting from people in the shire is that we should be moving things a little bit faster, especially in this post-COVID environment. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sharkey. Sorry, did we have a seconder? No, just the mover.
Oh, I seconded it.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you did, Councillor Rowe. Thank you. Councillor Rowe, would you like to speak?
Yeah, look, listen, I would, Madam Mayor. Look, this is an existing broiler farm on this property of approximately 150 acres. At the moment, there's 4 sheds built on that land. this is an application here for an extra 2 sheds. There'll be 6 sheds. They'll be all located within a farming zone. It's planned to go from a broiler farm to a poultry farm, and also too, the buffer distance is set at 500 metres as the policy for animal industry suggests. Okay, this application has a 590 metre separation distance from the nearest off-site dwelling, so it passes the pub test as far as I'm concerned. At the moment, this poultry farm and the goat farm of Cameron's at Meredith are 2 very important enterprises, as they employ many local people within the Shire. And furthermore, the objector still has the chance, if he wants to go to VCAT if he's not happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rowe. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? If not, I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.3, P20428, 18 Yorkshire Close, Batesford, a 3-lot subdivision. Thank you, Mr Josipovic.
Councillor Sharkey's just leaving.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report relates to a planning permit application for a 3-lot subdivision at 18 Yorkshire Close in Batesford, and the application has been referred to a council meeting for determination because there are 7 objections. Councillors have been provided with a full copy of the application and objections for consideration prior to making a decision. Objectors cited matters including increase in traffic, amenity impact to their rural lifestyle, rural character, impact on services, lack of footpaths and effluent and drainage. The proposed subdivision design will ensure there is no adverse effect on the character of the area, and the proposed lots are considered to be capable of on-site effluent disposal and management of drainage. The subject site is an appropriate location for an additional 2 lots, and the proposal is consistent with the relevant planning policy. The site is 1.5 hectares in area and currently containing an existing dwelling and some small outbuildings towards the rear of the site. The site contains minimal vegetation. The site is located within a low-density residential zone with Design and Development Overlay Schedule 5 applying. Surrounding land is also zoned low-density residential zone and is also covered by the same Design and Development Overlay. The land is not affected by any restrictive covenants or Section 173 agreements under the Planning and Environment Act. The application proposes 3-lot subdivision with the following features. Lot 1 being 5,570 square metres. Lot 2 is proposed to be 4,220 square metres, and Lot 3 is proposed to be 4,200 square metres, all complying with the minimum lot sizes under the particular zoning. I'd like to point out a small error in the report under the conflict of interest heading. At the moment it reads, the officer preparing this report has any conflicts of interest in regards to this matter. It should read, no officer involved in preparing this report has any conflicts of interest in regard to this matter, so apologies for that oversight. The recommendation is that Council resolves to issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for a 3-lot subdivision, subject to the recommended conditions attached to the report.
Thank you, Mr Josipovic. Okay, we have an objector. Thank you.
On behalf of Mr. Heath from Batesford, who unfortunately is not able to Zoom in tonight, he's in Tasmania and the connectivity, wasn't able to gain connectivity to Zoom into the meeting. So on his behalf, I will read out his submission. I submit my objection to the proposed subdivision on the grounds of A, increased traffic in Cullinan, Yorkshire, where no footpaths exist. B, very few good pair of Telstra cables available for existing residents. C, wireless NBN signal already poor. D, water pressure along Yorkshire poor. E, LCA, land capability assessment, indicates risk level at 3. Some of the designated LAA areas adjacent to and in close proximity of the adjoining property house. I subsequently participated in a council-arranged consultation meeting where the applicant spoke about her reasons for the proposed subdivision. She stated that she was getting older and became too difficult and onerous to maintain the 1.5 hectare block, and that she loves the area and it's her intention to build and live on one of the smaller 0.4 hectare lots herself, which will be easier to manage. She further indicated that it is definitely not a money grab situation. So my solution or compromise, which will satisfy my objections and will also address the applicant's situation, is simply to approve the subdivision of land into 2 lots, the smaller of which will be large enough, minimum 0.5 hectares, to allow sufficient alternative LAA areas. My other concerns would be somewhat lessened by this solution also. Mr. Heath Batesford.
Thank you, Councillor Breathless. On behalf of Heath Warwick, the objector. Any questions, councillors? Any questions to the director? Councillor Gamble.
The phone connectivity, is that something that we can address?
Every subdivision application has standard conditions included that are set by the state about providing telecommunications services to every new lot created, and they have to comply with the federal government standards to provide those particular services. And we won't issue a certificate of compliance till such time we get written confirmation that those services have been provided. As to the quality of the telco services, that's a matter for the federal government, not for council.
Any other questions, councillors? No? All right, well, we have a recommendation before us. The council resolves to issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for a 3-lot subdivision, subject to the recommended conditions attached to the report. Do I have a mover for the motion? Councillor Whitfield. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. These types of developments are becoming more and more common, but as the Director has stated, the rules for low-density residential zone allow for block sizes of a minimum of 4,000 square metres. And crucially, with this application, there are no covenants or Section 173 agreements that would deny subdivision in this case. Therefore, I will be following the opposite recommendation to approve, as it achieves a high compliance with the planning scheme. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Cunningham?
No, just to support Councillor Whitfield's comments and nothing else to add, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any councillors who'd like to speak against the motion? Okay, I'll put the vote. All those in favour?
4.
Carried.
4.
Well, no one spoke against it, Councillor Rowe.
I want to speak forward, that was all.
We just had approved the 3-lot subdivision in Yorkshire Close in Batesford. Councillor Sharkey. Item 7.4, preparation of the 21-22 draft budget to endorse for exhibition. Director Sullivan, would you like to speak?
Madam Mayor, the purpose of the council budget is to fund the delivery of the actions and activities set out in the council plan, and is developed by balancing the demand for services and infrastructure with the community's capacity to pay. This budget also specifically aligns with the strategic objectives of the Shire's 2021-2025 draft council plan, which proposes to address the 4 themes of the Golden Plains Community Vision 2040 40, and also the additional theme of leadership. The annual budget is made up of three key components, being the operational budget to fund the delivery of operational activities, the capital budget to deliver capital projects, and the revenue and rating plan, which outlines how income will be generated through rates and scheduled fees and charges to fund the projects and services that have been prepared in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020, and which requires to be adopted by 30 June 2021 following a 1-month public consultation process. It has been prepared following an extensive engagement process with staff and councillors, which kicked off in October 2020 with staff and November with councillors. The key principle used when developing the budget is that any expenditure above business as usual levels is identified as a new initiative, and each is considered in relation to its priority and alignment with either a new or increased statutory obligation, safety risks, and alignment with council plan activities. A prioritisation process is required to ensure the long-term financial sustainability impacts are prudently managed. The key points to note for the draft operating budget are: the rating revenue has been set by 1.5 rate cap increased by the mandated by the state government, and this combined with external grants and funds results in a total operating revenue of $49.3 million. Operating expenditure totals $44 million and includes the delivery of all of our council services and activities. This results in an operating surplus of $5.3 million, and once we remove the capital grants from this, it results in an underlying deficit of $0.5 million. Although the 2021-2022 draft budget is generating an underlying deficit, when modelling the long-term financial model confirms the deficit is sustainable due to stronger financial results in future years, with forecasting revenue from external resources such as Berrybank Wind Farm and Lamanda Drive land sales. In addition, the 2021 forecast is based on a year-to-date financial trends, which does indicate the result will be better than expected, and this will also help with our long-term financial sustainability. I will also just add that the rating strategy was reviewed last year and had some key changes effective, which included the removal of growth differentials, establishing separate farm differentials for broadacre intensive and small farms, and increasing the business property differential for the township of Bannockburn. Also important to note is the Victorian Government committed to a review of the local government rating system, which identified 56 recommendations to government, and as a result, the government responded to this in 2021. Due to the timing of this, it's recommended that further review of the rating strategy will kick off in August 2021 for an opportunity to revisit this. I also note that the capital works program that has been set is for a total of $14.6 million, with $9.6 million being funded out of council cash and the remaining being through external funding. Approximately $11.5 million will be going to roads, bridges, footpaths and cycle lanes, and approximately $3.1 million to recreation, leisure, community facilities, open space, streetscapes and plant and equipment. I will now take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director O'Sullivan. Any questions, councillors? No questions? All right. I'll ask, do we have a mover to the motion? Councillor Cunningham. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Gamble, sorry. Councillor Cunningham, would you like to
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I'm very happy to support the recommendation that we're right to go out to public review. Nothing else to add.
Thank you. Councillor Gamble.
We did have quite an extensive more analysis of the budget figures and just alerting the public that that we've already dealt with this motion to accept this document in our briefing meeting a week ago. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble.
Point of order. Just on clarity, we haven't decided or made any decisions on this document. We haven't, as a group, we haven't made any decisions on the document. Just to get a little bit of clarity around that statement, I think it's very, very important.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Councillor Sharkey.
Robust discussion.
Yes. So we've had some robust discussion around the table, Councillor Gamble. So that's why it's going out now to public, going out for public display.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. Councillor Sharkey.
Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? If not, I'll put the vote. All those in favour?
Madam,
carried.
So can we just can we speak for it?
Well, there is no one speaking against it, so I just assume that we'll just put it to the vote. Everyone's in favour.
Yeah. Do you mind if I speak for? I just do you mind if I?
Well, it's already gone. It's passed. No one wanted to speak against the motion, so I've put the vote. I'm sorry, Councillor Sharkey. We'll move on.
Can I seek an overrule on that? Could I seek an overrule on that, just for the importance of this document?
You may, but thank you. No one was speaking against it, so I just assumed that that was the end of the debate. So, okay, I'll reopen it up, sorry, and if you'd like to speak for it, I'm happy to go ahead.
Yeah. And thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And my point round that is this is a big document. This is one of the biggest documents. This is one of the biggest documents we've been working on for the last 6 months. So I'd be surprised if every councillor hasn't got something to say on this. But it is appreciating new councillors coming on, and even for us experienced or second-time round councillors. The budget comes at a really challenging time for a councillor, having just got elected and then experiencing the hangover of that period and the amount of information that's thrown at you from the 2040 to the council plan to the budget. It's quite an onerous 6 months on us. So we've spent a good bit of time on this budget, and I know we've had some really good discussions in and around the budget, and I'm sure as we progress each and every year, there will be more in-depth questions happening each and every year. It is a big budget, and it has an awful lot contained in that budget. It is very difficult and very challenging as a councillor to try and pick out of that budget certain things that challenge ratepayers and the rates. You know, as the director mentioned, the rating strategy that happened with the local government last year, an absolute missed opportunity on the state government there to not give us a little bit more power, to be able to give ratepayers a little bit more of a win. There's parts of this budget that I'm sure we're going to receive a considerable amount of angst, questioning on, mainly around the rubbish charge being significantly increased from $535 to $585. It's a significant increase for any ratepayer. Most ratepayers out there won't see that as the rubbish, just all that big number at the bottom. Our job is to really try and highlight that and advocate to the state government and the likes, because a large percent of that figure is heading off to the state government rubbish levy and all of that. I will be really listening to the community over the consultation period to see what their thoughts are on this budget. Each council, we've all had our input, the organisations had their input, and now it's up to the community and to really listen to them. I'll be really listening quite loud to see what, we were extremely challenged last year. We had to make some really tough decisions last year as COVID was hitting, and we didn't know which way COVID was going to be. I probably, with the power of hindsight and having gone through the last 6 months, I probably wish we as a collective group had a little bit more conversation around what the post-COVID world is looking like from a not just financial point of view, but mental health and things like that. So it'll be just interesting to see how the community receives the budget, scrutinises the budget, and gives us the feedback, because at the end of the day, it's their money that we're spending. And I'm sure that the community will see a lot of wins in there, but there is going to be a few losses in there, especially around that rubbish charge. That's going to be a really hard pill for a lot of ratepayers to swallow. So that will be interesting to see what the feedback is there, and yeah, it's a huge budget. Full credit to the staff and the organisation for facilitating us through the whole process. It is quite a long, drawn-out process, as I said, with layered on top of everything else. So I'm happy to support this going out to the community for consultation, and we'll be open ears to each and every resident that puts in their submission on this. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Anyone like to speak against the motion? Speak for? Councillor Whitfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it's an interesting budget in that the bottom line does show an underlying deficit of $500,000, but we've been assured by our number crunchers that forecasting indicates this is sustainable. We're going to have some future increased revenue. Regular budget watchers will notice an increase of expenditure in areas such as infrastructure maintenance and renewal. Also, it's worth noting that the increases in you can see in the budget in the areas of work cover and the like have built-in contingencies to allow for potential extra costs that are due to the MAV, our current insurance provider, losing its insurance accreditation. So there's a built-in factor there. This budget, as was pointed out by Director O'Sullivan, and future budgets depends to some extent on the Lamandra Drive sales, and although none of that Lamandra Drive income is specifically directed to reducing debt, it is going into consolidated income, which can then be used to fund firstly the next stages of that project, and then secondly to help fund capital projects as outlined in the capital works budget. So although the income will not directly reduce debt, the byproduct of doing it is that council is not budgeting to take up any new debt to fund future capital projects. And some of that revenue is also going to be apportioned to recreational and community infrastructure reserves. Yeah, I too, as Councillor Sharkey said, I look forward to this budget going out to the public for feedback, and I welcome the submissions that come from that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Cunningham.
Thank
yes?
you, Madam Mayor. I just want to clarify.
Point of sorry.
A point of order. He's just going to ask.
He moved it.
Oh, right,
sorry, you did too. Sorry, thank you.
Sorry, apologise.
Apologise. Anyone else who would like to speak against the motion, for the motion? All right.
Just a very quick clarification. I think there was a figure mentioned there of the waste management fee increase to 580. So just to confirm that it's the proposed budget figure would be an increase to 385 per property. Thank you. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Okay. If there's no other speakers, Councillor Cunningham, would you?
Nothing else to say, Madam Mayor.
All right. Thank you. All right, I'll put it All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Item 7.5, the draft council plan 2021 to 2025. Thank you, Ms Leatic.
Madam Mayor, the draft council plan 2021-2025 presented tonight has been developed following extensive community engagement and in working with yourselves over many months. It features the priority initiatives and actions for council through its services, infrastructure and advocacy over the next 4 years. The draft plan directly addresses the themes of the Golden Plain Community Vision 2040, being community, livability, sustainability and prosperity, with an additional theme of leadership added to represent council-specific regulatory, governance, leadership and advocacy activities required to achieve the outcomes for the community. The draft council plan has been developed in accordance with the strategic principles of the Local Government Act 2020 and details 21 strategic objectives with 83 key strategic actions for delivery during the council term. It doesn't represent everything that council will do, but it does represent those strategic actions. Council's municipal public health and wellbeing plan, required to be developed in accordance with the Public Health and Wellbeing Act, has been incorporated into the draft plan and reflects the important role that council plays in supporting improved health and wellbeing outcomes for the community and all the people living within Golden Plains. In the interests of transparency and accountability, a commitment to regular reporting and reporting to the community on the progress is articulated within the plan, and this will occur through measurement of the strategic indicators in the Council's annual report and through quarterly reports on the progress of actions to an open council meeting quarterly. The draft plan is now ready to be exhibited to the whole of the community so that they can review and provide feedback, and it is recommended that this occur between the 28th of April and the 26th of May 2021, and that feedback will be presented back to Council for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Leatic. Do we have any questions, councillors? Cunningham?
Statement?
Well,
Speak
questions,
forward,
if you'd like to just ask a question.
No, no questions.
All right. All right, do we have a mover? Councillor Cunningham. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Getson. Councillor Cunningham, would you like to speak?
Madam Mayor, just on behalf of the councillor group, we'd just like to acknowledge the planning and the work that's been put into this proposal from the applicable departments that has prepared this it's a very impressive draft council plan. It's been very well put together. We've had some workshops which have been great. So, like the other councillors, we'll be waiting to hear back from the community, their feedback. But once again, please pass our thanks on to everyone involved. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Get some.
I'd like to endorse the remarks of Councillor Cunningham as well. There's a lot of work gone into this, and I think, especially new councillors, we've learned a lot on this on the workshops and here in the chamber, and I think it's a good job done, and look forward to hearing back on the community.
Councillor Gibson. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion?
Not speaking against Madam Mayor, but I'd like to speak forward if that's okay.
For the motion, yes, you may.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And again, a huge document, one of the most significant documents that we put together. I've absolutely enjoyed the process this time. I know on my first time doing this as a newly elected councillor and having no understanding of documents and strategies and overarching stuff. This time I've really sort of observed and tried to have my input in this process, speaking to other councillors across the state. This is something that a lot of councils throw a significant amount of funds at. We have done this all in-house, as Councillor Cunningham alluded to there, that the staff themselves have put this together. Been a huge amount of input from both the organisation, us as councillors, and also the ratepayers and residents in the Shire. So it's been a hugely valuable exercise out there. It is, I still find it quite challenging, the process of putting this document together in terms of going out. I really found it quite difficult during that community consultation period, speaking to people at stalls and that, getting their input into this document, because it's for a lot of people this document is, you know, it's very fluffy and it's very wordy, and you know, there's not too many things in there that are actually absolutely specific on it, but we have embedded a lot of things in there. I myself, during the process, and mainly off the back of a lot of the feedback during the, more so probably the election campaign, more so that period than the actual consultation period, really enjoyed embedding some of those things in there. We've got a stronger emphasis this time on Indigenous affairs with the RAP report, highlighting NAIDOC Week. We've also further highlighted environmental issues. We've also had the benefit of the 2040 overarching document to do that. That's been one of the best aids, particularly for new councillors, to read that as a starting point. And we've gone about this, and I know due to COVID and the state government having allowed all these processes to be done at times, I commend the leadership shown by the organisation in terms of the way that we've done these documents. We've done the 2040 vision first. We've been able to, as councillors, read that document, use that then to embed all that information into the council plan, and then at the same time being conscious of the budget. So it's really good to be able to pass the put out for community consultation both the council plan and the budget this evening. As was previously mentioned, we have a new pillar there, the leadership or governance one. That is something that we have all received strong feedback on. Community want to be part of our decisions. Any decision that we make, that they want to be part of those decisions. They want to see themselves embedded into our decisions, and appreciating their feedback. Customer service has also been something that's highlighted in the council plan, and also the prosperity of the Shire, supporting businesses, showing better opportunities for businesses and the growth in some of our areas, and in turn then putting some more local employment. A strong emphasis on transport advocacy, which is absolutely fantastic, and also from a health and wellbeing perspective, we've got a huge or a stronger emphasis there on mental health support and accessibility right across the Shire, from our residents being able to access the services that are provided. It is, I personally find it challenging with a document like this. It's 4 years. Our council plan is probably different than any other council in terms of us growing at the rate we are. Our 4 years is a lot different than most other councils where they know what they are. We're experiencing extremely strong growth, and I think embedded into the council plan is allowing for that growth. But I really will appreciate and see what the community has to say on this. I think it is a really good document that has been amended by us umpteen times, and getting each and every word in there to what we think is good. And I think as a council group, we're extremely proud of this document. But what's more important, as we said, the community want to hear feedback. We want to hear the feedback from the community on this as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the community has to say on this extremely important document. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Whitfield.
Speaking for Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
And I don't want to double up on terrific work Councillor Sharkey's said there, with highlighting some of the details of the plan. So I'll just try and get through my notes without doubling up. But yes, I'm looking forward to hearing from the community on this draft. I know that speaking to the council staff, that they are excited and challenged by what is being put forward. I had a look at the last council plan, and it had 40 actions across 4 pillars. We've got over 80 actions across the 4 plus the 5th governance area, so staff are going to have their work cut out for them. Deliverable in both short and longer timeframes. As Councillor Sharkey said, this aligns with our 2040 community vision. And yes, it is a type of mother document, but it will guide strategies and outcomes below it. Councillors have listened directly to the community through specific conversation posts and at community events, and we have partaken in multiple workshops to influence this plan. I can see that the buy-in from the organisation is very strong, and I hope that the many submissions we receive during this exhibition will enable us to consolidate and/or tweak the plan's direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Anyone else? Councillor Gamble, like to speak for it?
At risk of, yes, thank you. At risk of tripling up, then I also would like to point out it's a very important 4-year planning document from tomorrow. Residents have 30 days for reading and making submissions and suggestions on the content. I too commend this draft plan for circulation, examination, discussion, and for the people of Golden Plains having an input and a say in setting the direction and priorities for the council to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak against the motion, for the motion? Okay, Councillor Cunningham, if you'd like to...
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, there's not really much left to say after those. Councillor Sharkey, Whitfield and Gamble spoke exceptionally well, I thought. I believe a lot of feedback that we received during the election campaign and on our listening posts have been taken on board, and reading through this draft plan you can see that these thoughts and feedback have been embedded in the document. So I think there's a lot of good reading in there for the community to see that there's definitely a lot of good ideas and plans to hopefully be put into action. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.6, the financial statement, quarter 3. Thank you, Director O'Sullivan.
Madam Mayor. As at the 31st of March 2021, the income statement reports a total operating revenue of $41.4 million and a total operating expenditure of $30.6 million, which results in a year-to-date surplus of $10.8 million. This is $6.2 million favourable compared to the original budget and $3.6 million favourable to the revised budget. Once capital grants are removed, the actual adjusted underlying result continues to be a surplus of $5.3 million compared to a budget of $1.6 million. This reflects a $3.6 million favourable variance. The main reasons for this is because of a roughly $500,000 in higher rates and charges due to higher levels of growth in customers and also supplementary notices received. We've had $425,000 of operating grants carried forward from the 1920 year due to the timing of performance obligations. Contracts and material costs are $1.4 million lower than revised budget. This is a combination of some timing around our recycling, collection and garbage disposal costs, plus there's been a decreased use of the facilities due to COVID-19. Just on that note, I will note that it is expected the waste management account end of year position is looking to come in with a surplus. This is mainly due to 3 main reasons, being that the government landfill levy, which was mandated, was to commence from 1 January 2021, however was deferred following the budget had already been adopted. Secondly, as a result of the waste education, due to constraints in resourcing, the waste education and street sweeper costs are lower than budget. As always noted, any forecast surplus will be transferred into the dedicated waste management reserve and assist with paying off unfunded liability. In addition, employee costs are also $1.4 million lower than the revised budget, mainly due to savings on vacant positions, which are currently in the process of being filled, and also that the Children's Services redundancy payments came in lower than we'd expected by $250,000. In relation to the capital projects, we have currently delivered 80% of the year-to-date revised budget, with being $14.1 million of capital works being delivered, which is below the revised budget of $17.5 million. But as I say, it's still 80% of the current budget with 3 months to go. We've had 2 contracts approved within the CEO delegation between 200 and 400,000, which was the Bannockburn Skate Park upgrade and also a new tandem tipper truck. And we've also had 5 contracts that were awarded through council resolution during this quarter, which related to the Bowls Club upgrade, the Bannockburn soccer pitch, the Bannockburn skate park, and the Invalid sporting complex change room. I'll take the rest as read and happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions, councillors? No? Okay, well, we'll move on. Okay, do I have a mover to the motion? Not? Well, Councillor Whitfield. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief on this one. It's a very favourable position for council to be in. I note from the report the positive variance of 3.6 mil against the revised budget is a good outcome, and a terrific achievement by the works team to achieve 80% of capital works during a COVID interrupted period. So well done to them. Thanks, Madam.
Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Cunningham, would
Madam
you like
Mayor,
to...
no, nothing else to add to that, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone like to speak against the motion? Any councillor like to speak for the motion? If not, Councillor Cunningham, Whitfield, would you like to sum up? Okay, I'll put the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.7, the Council Plan 2017 to 2021, the implementation, Quarter 3. Thank you, Director O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the 3rd quarterly report to Council regarding the implementation for the 2021 Council Plan. And whilst COVID-19 has continued to impact some of our activities, it's been a huge amount of activities being achieved this quarter as we lead up to the end of the year. I will note a few. So the integration of the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan into the Council Plan, which prevents family violence and advancing gender equality, has been included as part of the priority areas. The junior cricket program was initiated in Smilesdale and was attended by approximately 30 children in partnership with Cricket Victoria and RSA Sports Central. A review of the Council's community transport service has been undertaken with an objective to increase residents' access to the service and improve transport connections both within the Shire and into bordering regional cities. Council's Active Ageing and Inclusion Plan 2020 to 2024 was adopted at the February Council meeting, and it does address active ageing, disability access and inclusion across council operations. There's been community training on mental health with the focus area of alcohol and other drugs to youth, social inclusion and isolation. Community awareness have commenced in partnership with BCYF. We've also endorsed the Reconciliation Action Plan and a new flag policy that will see the Torres Strait Islander flag fly alongside the Australian Aboriginal flags. And the first Golden Plains Youth Network meeting was held with representatives from local and neighbouring youth agencies, organisations and service providers. Many other achievements have been delivered throughout this quarter, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director O'Sullivan. Any questions, councillors? No? Okay, then we'll move on. Do I have a mover to the motion? Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gamble, thank you. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This council plan is our previous plan, as I highlighted earlier. For my personal journey on council, the council plan has been a document that I've always sort of looked at, but not sort of gone down and drilled down. So it's actually, even having gone through the process we have, as I highlighted earlier, starting to read these council plans and how that council plan that we've just put out for public consultation, how this comes back quarterly and feeds in. So it's amazing the council plan that we put together in the last term. Obviously, being, as highlighted earlier, with the impact of COVID, it's amazing to see this document. It's as people say, it's a living, breathing document. This document this year has had some real big breathing moments, both having taken some massive. Held its breath and exhaled and done lots of things. I think there's been a really good emphasis on this quarter in terms of health and wellbeing. And as Councillor Whitfield outlined earlier, with the work that's been done in Invalid in the youth space, things like that. There's some of the things that have happened in post-COVID. We have done. The flag policy, which has come through, has been a really good one, but we've also been able to use this document then to leverage some really good sort of funding opportunities that have presented themselves, the digital hub in Smilesdale, and then also our first outdoor dining location in Bannockburn and Meredith, with our further locations both in Smilesdale and Invalid, all funded by the state government. So it's fantastic. I suppose as we come, this will be our obviously our second last report on this council plan from the end, but it's been quite an interesting journey, and from a personal perspective and the growth, being able to see how this document moves and changes to facilitate the demands of the community, and then also the funding opportunities that are out there. There has been a huge amount of work done on a huge amount of things here. So this is a really good update in a post-COVID environment. It's amazing to see the achievements that we have done over the past quarter. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Gamble, thank you.
Thank you. Well, being a newer councillor, I'm impressed by the many great achievements that are listed and highlighted in this document, and most of them all initiated by a previous council. I'd say to the critics of the council, and there are a few of them out there, I recommend they read through this extensive and varied list of real highlights. There's 24 of them, of things our Golden Plains Council staff have achieved, or in some cases started in this 3-month period from January to March. Thank you.
Councillor Gamble. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak against the motion? Who'd like to speak for the motion? If not, Councillor Sharkey, would you like to sum up?
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I'm happy to put it straight to a vote, having covered
I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.8, Emissions Reduction Action Plan Adoption. Thank you, Mr Josipovic.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council's Environment Strategy 2019 to 2027 sets a zero net emissions target for council operations by 2040, along with some interim targets in there as well. In order to achieve a position of zero net emissions, the emissions generated by council activities must be quantified and a plan formed to reduce, eliminate and offset them. In 2019-20, Council engaged Ironbark Sustainability to develop a corporate emissions inventory and report on the essential elements for a corporate greenhouse gas emissions reduction action plan. The emissions inventory was developed with 2018-19 as a baseline year, and the analysis of appropriate emissions reduction pathways for Council to 2030 to 31 presented potential actions and their likely cost. This report will serve as a basis for an emissions reduction action plan that will also require input from staff across all areas of Council. There are a number of actions Council can take to reduce its emissions. These can be broadly grouped into a hierarchy of avoid, find efficiencies, renewables and offsets. Council is already undertaking some actions that will reduce its emissions. These include actions in the renewable energy category, such as participation in the local government power purchase agreement and installation of solar panels on council facilities. In terms of the power purchase agreement, Council will recall last month a resolution to enter into an agreement if the offer was better than business as usual. I'm pleased to announce that the offer that came in was better than business as usual. We'll provide a briefing in detail. So we have signed up to that. So 46 of the 47 councils that participated have signed up to that agreement, which provides all those councils with 100% renewable energy. And that will reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by in the order of 30%. There will also likely be efficiency opportunities in the avoid category as well, though these have yet to be explored in detail. The development of an emissions reduction action plan and the establishment of an internal environment and sustainability reference group shows Council's commitment and leadership to take action on climate change. So the recommendation before you tonight is that Council 1 supports the development of an emissions reduction action plan based on data from the attached Ironbark Sustainability Report, and 2, establishes an internal environment and sustainability reference group. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Josipovic. Any questions, councillors? No questions? All right. Do I have a mover to the motion?
Moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors Cunningham second the motion. Would you like to speak on it, Councillor Whitfield?
Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble.
I'd like to propose an amendment to the motion that officers provide a further report on greenhouse gas reduction targets at a future council meeting once the action plan has been completed.
Hang on. We haven't got that in front of us.
I don't have that words.
Move it. Yep. All right, we can just write that out.
So, can you repeat that?
Yeah, thank you.
I've got the words here.
Yeah, but the councillors don't.
Yeah.
I'll read it out again then. To propose an amendment to the motion that officers provide a further report on greenhouse gas reduction targets at a future council meeting once the action plan has been completed.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Gamble, for that. Do we have a seconder? Have anyone who'd like to second? You've already moved.
I'm happy to second it to hear what Councillor Gamble has to say. Happy to second the suggestion of the amendment to listen to what Councillor Gamble has to say.
Yep, you may now speak on it, Councillor Gamble.
The emissions, with this action plan, the emissions, the zero net emissions target is currently set at 2040. With the expert, with the sustainability, Ironbark Sustainability as the expert consultants, and in as reported by David Collins, our Coordinator for Environment and Sustainability, he suggested that there is quite a lot of potential to bring that date forward, and that's what I'd be looking for to follow up on with the report to see the possibility of that net zero emissions being brought up to 2026. That's the rationale for me asking for this amendment to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the amendment? Not, I'll put it to the vote. Yes, on the amendment, yes. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment? All those against? 2 votes. Right, that's... Yes, go ahead.
No, happy to, just, yep, still, the amendments just come through, so I was just trying to get my head round the amendment, but...
Well, we did vote, there was
Yep,
5
yep.
and 2. Yep. Yep, that counts.
Motions,
Exactly.
including numbers 1 and 2.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Reading the Ironbark report, there is a little paragraph I'd like to quote from it. Climate science tells us that an increased warming beyond 1.5% in global temperature will have an increasingly severe social, economic and environmental impact, not least on a water-scarce continent like Australia. As of October 2018, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change announced that there were no longer any scenarios for remaining within this 1.5% range without the use of carbon removal technologies, end quote. So this emissions reduction action plan, I believe, has a few standout benefits for council. One of those being, not the least, is if all actions are employed following the Ironbark report, council will save $2.8 million over the next 12 years. That's quite a substantial figure. I have supported Councillor Gamble in his his amendment there. I thought there was a recommendation in the report that we do attempt to bring forward the zero emissions target from 2040 to 2026. In that recommendation, I was of the opinion that such a significant timeline decrease demonstrates the seriousness with which council is approaching this issue. Going forward, the tools needed and the actions to be implemented to achieve this emissions reduction plan are achievable, and I support the adoption of it. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Cunningham?
Nothing else to add. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there any other councillors who'd like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? If not, Councillor Whitfield, would you like to sum up?
No further to add, thanks.
Thank you. If not, I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.9, proposed sale of council-owned land in Mancha Drive, Teasdale. Thank you, Mr Josipovic.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At its ordinary meeting held on 25th of February 2020, Council resolved to issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for a 37-lot subdivision of council-owned land in Mancha Drive, Teasdale. As there were no appeals lodged with VCAT in the prescribed time, a planning permit was issued on the 6th of April 2020. The site in Teasdale is zoned low-density residential, and the subdivision will be undertaken over 3 stages. Prior to selling any land, Council must comply with Section 189 and 223 of the Local Government Act, which requires Council to publish a public notice advising of its intention to sell council-owned land. Following the resolution in February of 2020, Council published 2 notices in compliance with the relevant requirements of the Act, one in the Golden Plains Times on 4th of June 2020 and one in the Geelong Advertiser on the 6th of June 2020. The notices required submissions to be received by 5 p.m. on Monday, 6th of July 2020. No objections to the proposed sale were received. However, one email from an adjoining property owner developer was received, querying whether Council should have a further road reserved to the land's southern boundary, allowing for a future road connection into land to the south when and if development is allowed. The draft Teasdale structure plan recently endorsed by Council maintains the growth areas currently identified and does not identify land to the south of the council-owned land for growth at this stage. This may change in the future and following the Planning Panel Victoria's consideration on the Teasdale structure plan. The current configuration of Lamanda Drive ends in a court at the south of the development site as approved by the planning permit. Any change to extend the Lamanda Drive Road Reserve to the southern boundary of the land would require planning permit amendment and result in the loss of some designated open space and therefore is not recommended. It should be noted that approximately 150 metres east of the eastern boundary of the council-owned land is Tulla Drive, which currently extends to the edge of the land currently zoned low-density residential zone. If in the future land to the south is developed, connection to Tulla Drive is possible. In addition, further east again is Red Gum Drive, which also has a through connection to the southern boundary. The recommendation before you tonight is that Council 1 note that public notices were published in the Golden Plains Times and the Geelong Advertiser in accordance with sections 189 and 223 of the Local Government Act. Note that no objections were received by a closing date and time for submissions. 3, that note the subdivision on land will be undertaken over 3 stages. And 4, approve the sale of council-owned land at Lamanda Drive, Teasdale, following the subdivision of the land. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any questions, councillors? Not, I will ask someone to move the motion. Councillor Whitfield. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rowe. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This land has been identified by Council as surplus land. It is It does not currently serve a community purpose. It aligns with the current Teasdale structure plan for development. The design of the development is well configured and there have been no objections received. I'm happy to support this motion.
Councillor Rowe.
All I'd like to say, Madam Mayor, is look, it's a pretty straightforward recommendations, and seeing there's no objections to this, the recommendation should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Anyone who'd like to speak for the motion? If not, I'll put the vote. Or would you like to sum up, Councillor Whitfield? Sorry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, but as that no one spoke against, I won't.
Okay, all those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.10, surplus council land in Smilesdale. Thank you, Mr Josipovic.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll present this report.
Thank you.
Councillors, as part of the Council's ongoing review of its land inventory, it appears that this particular parcel of 6,500 square metres, a sewered block within the township of Smilesdale, could and should be converted into residential allotments. The first step in this process is for the council to declare the land as surplus and allow the planning process to commence. As we know, Smilesdale is one of those areas that is continuing to grow. It is only our second township in the whole of the Shire that has sewerage, and the ability to provide infill lots within the township is desirable. When we found that this particular parcel of land, including its couple road reserves, was sitting unused and vacant, it was one of those parcels of land that we felt would be better to accommodate residential development. As you'll see in the recommendation, it does say that we declare surplus, commence the planning process, but I would like to refer the councillors to recommendation number 3. As we're aware, I think it was at the last council meeting, council undertook a similar process with some land in the Bannockburn Recreational Reserve. But at that time, we included a recommendation similar to this, but as that land was zoned recreation, we suggested to council that we set up a future fund for recreational purposes. And any of the surplus profits from that sale would go into a reserve that would then assist and support future recreational activities. As this particular parcel of land isn't associated with any recreational reserve, it's just vacant township land, officers have put forward the recommendation that we establish a second future fund, and this one be entitled Community Roads and Infrastructure. Again, with a similar purpose that all the net profits from any sale of these lands be put into this future fund to enable council to use the monies for future community or civil type infrastructure works. And then you can use that and draw from that reserve when and how you wish. I think this is a practice that we'll continue to look for into the future, because it does give you the ability to keep the monies in a future fund rather than into consolidated revenue. And I do appreciate that in the report that we just presented to you prior to this with Lamanna Drive or Baker's Lane, we didn't do that. That process was already in place over the last 2 to 3 years, and the sales have been put into our future forecasts for our operating budgets in our 10-year strategic plan. But what I would like to do is consider recommendation 3, not only for this parcel of land, but any future parcels that we look at selling of council land, and that gives a future fund for either this or future councils to consider and use. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Priceless. Any questions, councillors? No questions. I'll then ask for a mover of the motion. Councillor Getson. Do we have a seconder? Oh, I didn't quite see who was. Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Getson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm quite familiar with this parcel of land. Taylor Street, as we know, runs through a portion of it. That is a sealed road. It is also possibly, it's got a dangerous bend in it, so I think it needs to be addressed. Also, the land is only suitable for housing, and I think it addresses a situation that where it sits, there's houses around it. It's close to sewerage, as noted, and there's a lot of gauze and a bit of rubbish about it. I think Johnson Street's down on the southern end, and I think if that's not opened up right through to the Browns Road, but there is facility, I believe, that it could be done in future time if it's required by more traffic and housing development in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Getson. Councillor Whitfield.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. There is a multitude of underutilised Crown land open space around that area. One of the possible advantages, as mentioned in the report, is that there is potential for one or more parcels of the subdivided land to become social housing. Given the current zoning and absence of covenants and easements and the good access to utilities, the land does lend itself best to subdivision, and I'm in agreement with the officer recommendation. Thank you.
Whitfield. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Sharkey.
Just quickly, and probably repeating Mr. CEO on that. With regards to that third point there, it does make these decisions from a councillor's perspective that little bit easier to support these recommendations, because from a ratepayer's perspective, they want to see what the win is out of a situation like this. So we're selling an asset. And there's a win there for the community, and what that looks like we will see into the future. But both this one and the example of the Bannockburn one, it's fantastic to sort of see or be able to translate that to a ratepayer and say, well, look, here's the negative where we're selling this parcel of land, but here's the bonus out of it, that we're going to have better roads and infrastructure around that area. So from my perspective as a councillor, that third point is hugely valuable and quite significant, and I really appreciate that being in there. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sharkey. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Councillor Rowe?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, listen, I'm not in favour of selling vacant council land, to be honest with you, full stop. This is the second parcel of land to come to council in a short period of time. I've got concerns where and when the next piece of surplus land will be coming before us as well. So, thank you.
That's all right. Anyone else like to speak for the motion? If not, Councillor Getson, would you like to close the debate?
Oh, I think this parcel of land is, it sits in a very high housing area, and I think it would be well sought after when it comes put up for sale, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried.
Vision, please.
Yes, you may. All those who are voting for: Councillor Getson, Councillor Sharkey, Councillor Gamble, Councillor Whitfield, Councillor Cunningham, Councillor Kirby, and Councillor Rowe against. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Item 7.11, ICT Customer Property and Regulatory Systems, awarding of the tender. Thank you, Ms Sullivan.
Madam Mayor. Council officers recommend to engage Council First for the provision of a new customer property and regulatory systems software solution at a total value of $873,976 for a 3-year contract, which is made up of $490,000 in year one, which relates to implementation and project management costs, and is a one-off cost, and then includes $128,000 per annum as an ongoing cost for the 3 years. The broad deliverables of the contract is to deliver the core ICT systems, being property management system, the rating management system, receipting and payments, animal registration, infringements, local laws, permits and customer request systems. It also includes the components of accounts receivable, property leases and licences, bonds, registers and records management. I think it's important to note that our current system was implemented over 20 years ago, and it is outdated, has a number of manual over processes, and doesn't have the capability to deliver on what our community is asking for. These things include customer portals, single view of residents, self-service, online forms, and simple things that just can't be delivered at the moment. By moving to a purpose-built based on modern technology, it will enable us to meet our community expectations. I will note that also that the forecasted cost of our current ICT systems over the next 3 years is estimated to be $696,000. When you compare this to our current new system of $873,000, or the total difference being in total $177,000. Or roughly $60,000 per annum. And with this $60,000 brings significant efficiencies, the ability for council to meet its future growth requirements, which the current system cannot. I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you.
Thank you, Director O'Sullivan. Questions? Thank you, Councillor Whitfield.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So far with the tender processes as we've seen, and they comprise of a weighted scoring system for the various components of the tender, and they've shown that it is possible that the lowest price is not always the preferred option, but for the first time I've seen in a tender a recommendation for a contract that is not the highest scorer. Can you please explain how that has come to be?
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield, and through the chair. Yes, correct. In this case, Council First rated the highest out of the 4 of the 5 categories, being capability, methodology, capacity, and local providers. The main reason for that was because it supports our modern technology. We've just moved across onto the Office 365 platform, and this system aligns to that program It's the way our future strategy is going, and it enables us to deliver the digital services that our community's been asking for. It aligns to our council plan, and it also aligns to a number, as I say, of the requests that have come through our community. I think it's important to note that the projected break-even period for this investment is after 5 years, and the main reason for that is the actual yearly software costs of this software is actually lower than what we're currently spending. So our current spend is approximately $156,000 per annum. This, on an ongoing basis, will be $127,000 per annum. But as I noted, the main reason for the additional cost is relating to implementation and project management costs. And this is as a result because it will undertake a data cleansing, a data review and refresh and data integrity process as part of that implementation to ensure the correct information is being included into the new system. Thank you.
Thanks, Director O'Sullivan.
Any other questions, councillors? No? All right. Do we have a mover to the motion? Councillor Whitfield. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, I also appreciate part of that tender process was difficult because the tenderers seemed to submit packages that weren't really comparable, so I'll take that on board. But the wash-up of this is that, as Director O'Sullivan stated, Council is currently operating a system that does not integrate from one function to another. It's outdated and the recurring licence fee is expensive. The proposed system will offer substantial in-house efficiencies as the Shire enters a period of rapid growth. There is no doubt this upgrade is a significant spend. The factor that cuts through it, though, is that for an increase of $59K a year, the organisation goes from an antiquated system that impedes the staff to a digitally current model that enhances their abilities. So, thanks. Yeah.
Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Sharkey.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This report came to us, and it's definitely one where skimming over the paperwork and you see a figure like that, it's definitely a sit-down moment and make sure that you're sort of reading through the whole of the report. Looking at that single figure alone is absolutely shell-shocking, and I think we had an excellent presentation on this during a briefing to get a real good understanding of the spend. For me, on a personal note, dumbing the numbers down there, for me, of that extra $59,000 per year, that's what this recommendation really is saying, asking us to spend an extra $59,000, and to use an analogy of a car, it's what is being described to me is that we're being able to upgrade to a Tesla from a Ford, and what we're getting is a substantial amount of benefit for the community here. As I earlier mentioned, within the council plan that's gone out to community consultation, the community have told us customer service is an area that we need to get better in. We have gone absolute leaps and bounds. We have not made a digital or an IT mistake in the last couple of years. This organisation is only standing today in a post-COVID world because of the decisions that we made a couple of years ago. So we're in a really good space, and I think right at the moment we're a digital leading council, having attended a meeting at Geelong Council and Geelong Libraries. They're in awe of what we're doing. We are absolutely leading the space here. I know it's a little bit of a side issue, but it is really, really disappointing, the digital transformation program that was before us. It was, the big sell of it was to be able to align all of us councils on something like this. It will forever be my burden or on local government that we can't, 79 different councils can't get something like this and just align together, get programs working. But as simple as it sounds, it is a truly very complicated beast, IT. So for me, we are getting a Tesla here, and I think the community's expectations and us as councillors will be the deliverance of that Tesla. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sharkey. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak against the motion? Speak for the motion? Councillor Gamble, thank you.
Just to point out that at the briefing, I think we all were, I'm safe to say we're all fairly convinced that the efficiencies that will be had in future years will offset the initial capital costs over the next 3 years. Thank you.
Councillor Gamble. Anyone like to speak against the motion? If not, Councillor Whitfield, would you like to sum up?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, as Councillor Gamble pointed out, the efficiencies outweigh the spend, and we know that the break-even point, or that buyback period, is 5 years, which would seem a reasonable period for what we're getting. Echoing Councillor Sharkey, yes, that figure was an eye-opener, and many questions were raised during the briefing. But thanks to the briefing that was provided, we were able to get our heads around exactly what it was that this Council First package brings to the organisation. I note that there is tech support provided during the implementation phase, and it's something that brings the organisation together. The left hand will know what the right hand's doing. So I'm totally on board with supporting this. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Field. Okay, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Item 7.12, the Meredith Interpretive Centre, change to terms of lease due to COVID-19. Thank you, Ms Leatic.
Mayor. Following a public EOI process, Council at its April 2020 meeting entered into a lease with Claw Enterprises Proprietary Limited for the use of the Meredith Interpretive Centre, 10 Wallace Street, Meredith. Claw Enterprises is an innovative social enterprise and community development initiative dedicated to providing a range of programs and supports to the community. Claw wrote to Council seeking an extension to their peppercorn rent arrangement to a second year, noting the substantial challenges that the COVID-19 have presented to them. They have delivered on many of their commitments, but like many, they've also had to pivot their delivery through online training and other methods of engaging, but haven't been able to deliver on all of their commitments. They have made, credit to them, significant improvements and reinvigorated this community asset and are ready to now welcome the community back in. It is proposed that in recognition of the challenges that Claw Enterprises have faced, that Council subsidise the Year 2 rental payment by 75%, with a rental payment of 25% being $3,300 being sought as rent from Claw Enterprises, and that the balance of $9,900 be referred to Council's COVID Relief Fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? No questions? I will then ask for a mover. Councillor Sharkey, do I have a seconder? Councillor Gitson. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. There's not too many decisions that are easier than this one, in my personal opinion. This space has been activated by Claw Enterprises. They have entered into this lease. They've activated this space and really put some life back into this building, and also with that the community. So excellent use of space. We are fortunate enough to also have the COVID Relief Fund that will help them through this. and that's what we are here as a council to do, support local community groups such as this. I know the weekend, I think on Saturday or Sunday over the weekend, they had first aid for motorbike users, a program there for motorcyclists, and offered them first aid, or that group used that space to do that. So that is community benefit. That request from Claw Enterprises is more than fair and reasonable, and again, fantastic to see that space being activated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Getson, would you like to speak?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I just like to endorse Councillor Sharkey's remarks. Being COVID, I think it's a great thing, and yeah, I just add to Councillor Sharkey's remarks as a great move. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Sharkey, did you want to close the debate?
No, absolutely no debate there from councillors. I think we're absolutely unanimous in this. Good decision. Thank you.
Right, I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 7.13, I have declared a conflict of interest within the community of Ropewood and the Shire in the sharing of a petition, but noting that I did not sign the petition or my family, so I will leave the chair, and Deputy Getson will step into the chair. Thank you.
Uh, 7.13, Heritage Designation, Ropewood Uniting Church, 60 Friars Street, Ropewood. I'd like to call on Eric Bracer, CEO, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Councillors, as you will recall, at the unscheduled meeting of 16 April, Council resolved a number of items in relation to the petition and the various and the Ropewood United Church. Well, item 3 in that resolution was that further information be provided to the next council meeting on the heritage status of the building. Obviously, that meeting occurred on Friday, the 16th of April, which is only a week and a half in terms of time between that date and tonight's council meeting. But as the resolution said, we must present a report to the next council meeting. I've had to table this report. This report is very basic in what it provides. It highlights the fact that the existing building is already designated under Heritage Overlay number 61 within the Golden Plain Shire Planning Scheme. Uniquely, and I'll say that again, uniquely, this building also has internal heritage controls. We have very, very, very few buildings across the whole of the Shire that are designated and have control over the outside and the inside, and this is one that does. That being said, there's lots of information circulating around that is suggesting that the building is not only of local significance, but also may be of statewide significance. As a result, further information and investigations are occurring as we speak, and officers intend on presenting a report to the May Council meeting with details of the background of the building, and Council will then be able to consider if the building's worthy of recommending to Heritage Victoria for state government designation. Thank you.
Thanks, CEO Eric. Do we have any questions? Do we have a motion? Nobody's got any questions? So I move, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sharkey. Cunningham, sorry. Can I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Councillor Councillor Gamble. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak?
Cunningham.
Cunningham, sorry.
That's the Councillor of Hair. This is the one of Hair. Just thank the CEO, Brazzles, for that update. Look, I think it's very important to note that the Council will receive an update and receive a further report in May to consider the designation of the building as having state significance. So I'm fully support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Gamble.
I'd just to add that it's good to know that it has that heritage status, particularly the internals as well. However, Dr. David Rowe, the Golden Plains Shire Heritage Advisor, has suggested that the overlay apply to the whole site. So with the that could be part of the subsequent report, possibly.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Any councillors wish to speak against? Any councillors wish to speak for? Cunningham, would you like to?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Jepson, nothing else to add on that. I think, I think it's pretty straightforward, so I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Would you like to close on the?
I think Councillor Cunningham's right has been exercised.
Thank you.
Councillor Cunningham, would you like to close?
No, nothing else to add. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put it to vote.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against?
Can I call for division, please?
Go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
Put it to vote.
So you ask everyone in favour?
Everybody in favour?
So Councillor Gamble, Councillor Whitfield, Councillor Cunningham, and Councillor Getsom?
Getsom, yeah.
And those against?
Those against?
Councillor Sharkey.
Councillor Sharkey, Councillor Rowe.
Mayor, is it possible to have a 5-minute break, please?
So I think that'd be a great idea, actually.
We're running
5-minute break.
2 hours, we're halfway through the program.
Moved by Councillor Rowe. I'm happy to second that motion.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Rowe, second by Councillor Sharkey to have a 5-minute break and return to our normal duties.
8:17.
We take a vote on that. Those in favour? Against? Carried.
the page. My hands are so cold. Item 714, councillor expenses and meeting attendance for Q3. Thank you, Director O'Sullivan.
Madam Mayor, I'll actually take this report as read and happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? No questions. All right. Do I have a mover to the motion?
Move, Madam Mayor.
Sharkey. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Whitfield. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This is our council expenses and meeting attendance. On my journey of all my time on council, it is a report that has always looked favourable on councillors. It has always been under budget, and meeting attendances have always been close to 100% by all councillors. So it's something that all councillors should be extremely proud of. It scrutinises every dollar we spend in there. So the biggest expenses there are generally the expenditure from the mayoral car and IT. So it's very, very open and transparent with the community where the rate-paying funds are being spent, and something that always looks favourable on councillors. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Whitfield?
Nothing further to add. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Sharkey, would you like to sum up?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 7.15, review of mayoral and councillor allowances. Thank you. Who's going to speak? Miss Anne Marie?
No, it'll be Director O'Sullivan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So mayors and councillors are entitled to receive an allowance while performing their duties as an elected official. A key reform of the Local Government Act 2020 is that these responsibilities will transfer to the Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal. However, as the Minister has not yet requested for this determination across, the Local Government Act 1989 continues to apply until the first determination is made by the Tribunal. As part of this process, we will go out for public exhibition to allow submissions from the public, and a final decision will be made at the June council meeting. Another thing to note was that the Local Government Victoria classifies as councils into 3 categories, and Golden Plains Shire Council has been approved to move from the Category 1, which is the lowest level, to Category 2, being the mid-level, as a letter presented as part of this report. The change is justified because of the increase in number of residents and also the increase in our recurrent revenue numbers. As a result, it's recommended to increase the mayoral and council allowances to reflect this increasing population and the increasing revenue base. And including the superannuation equivalent, the allowance is recommended to increase from $68,827,000 to $72,268,000 for the mayoral allowance, and $22,943 to $25,237 for councillor allowances. As mentioned, the public are invited to provide submission to be heard at the 8th of June council meeting, with a decision to be made at the 22nd of June meeting. Thank you.
Director O'Sullivan. Any questions, councillors? No questions, so I have a mover to the motion. I move it. Councillor Whitfield moved. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. This is going out for exhibition to the public, and I'll be interested to see their feedback. Just compressing some of the numbers in this report. Since 2016-17, councillor allowances have increased by approximately $1,200, excluding the super component. So that would be the CPI increases. So that would equate to, over the last 5 years, an increase each year of about $240. The small increase that is being recommended will reflect the increase of the category level that the state government has raised us into due to population increases, which in a nutshell, population increase equates to a higher level of input required from councillors. Yes, just to reiterate, I'm still very interested in feedback from the public on this. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Cunningham?
Nothing else to add, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Councillor Sharkey?
Not so much against the motion, Madam Mayor, as much as just highlighting the this one here. I sit as someone that has sat both in the mayoral position and as a council position. I fully appreciate and understand we as councillors. The state government, there was zero increase last year, so I can understand and appreciate the sentiment of this. I have previously stated that I do feel that the mayoral role is one that is well paid for what is done. So as Councillor Whitfield has said, it will be quite interesting to see what the community has to say. We as all 7 councillors here are out there actively and passionately being in the community and out there, and for a lot of times both past councillors and current councillors don't as mentioned in the last item, there's not too many times that councillors really use the full allowances and things like that, or their allowances for travelling and things like that. So it does come as a detrimental thing for some of us as councillors, but it will be interesting to see what the general public has to say with regards to how palatable they see these figures. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sharkey. Anyone else like to speak for the motion? Anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Whitfield, would you like to sum up?
No, thanks. I think I've said what I needed to, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 7.16, the National Gallery Assembly NGA of Local Government, 2021 mayoral attendance. Thank you, Mr. Breathless.
I'm happy to move that. I'm happy to move that straight away and take that as read. This is something that we as council have done, with the exception of last year in COVID, but has been something that we've done each and every year, and have had the mayor represent us at this National General Assembly. I'm stuttering on my words because I didn't get a seconder, did I?
Yeah, no. Thank you. Councillor Sharkey, do we have a
seconder? Thank you very much. My apologies.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham.
And something that is very good. So our attendance there is well received by the National General Assembly, and it's something that we as a sector, as Golden Plains, strongly support, and the Mayor can head off there and come back and give us a report on that, and it's a very good opportunity for us at Golden Plains Shire. Thank you very much.
Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Cunningham?
Nothing else to add, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak against the motion? Speak for the motion? Councillor Sharkey, would you like to sum up?
Straight to a vote, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.17, Councillor Professional Development. Thank you, Mr. Breathless.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, as you're aware, we set aside about $3,000 a year for councillors to undertake training and development. A number of development opportunities have occurred already within the first 6 months, but Councillor Sharkey has put in a request to attend and undertake the company director's course. The course is above that $3,000. Councillor Sharkey's request is that that council contribute 50% of the additional cost, which would be to a value of $2,184.45, being 50% of the amount over the $3,000 training and development budget that councillors have. So the report's there for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Brustless. Do we have any questions, councillors? No questions? Do we have a mover? Cunningham. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Rowe. Councillor Cunningham, would you like to speak?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And it is for my time on council and others, I've already undertaken a course already, which I think is very beneficial, and it is helping me in my role. I understand when I look over the 4 years that we are councillors that we're allowed to spend up to, well, there's $3,000 a year available for us to spend on professional council development, which probably most of us won't. So I don't really have a problem if a councillor over that period of time wishes to sort of do a course which is going to be, I think, very beneficial. And the understanding, as I say here, that Councillor Sharkey is quite happy to, he's only seeking 50% of the cost. And I know, having conversations with Councillor Sharkey, he understands that that amount of money is reflected back over the 4 years. So I'm happy to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Rowe, would you like to speak?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, look, listen, I've not got no qualms with Councillor Sharkey taking up this opportunity for this professional development. It could only strengthen our organisation, to be honest with you, down the track. So, yeah, no, I've got no opposition whatsoever to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Cunningham, would you like to sum up?
No, nothing else to add. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 8, notices of motion. Item 8.1, notice of motion, environmental upgrade finance agreements for all businesses and homeowners within the Golden Plains Shire Council. Thank you, Mr. Brustless.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll just refer this to Councillor Gamble as he put the notice of motion.
Thank you.
I, Councillor Gavin Gamble, give notice of my intention to move at the ordinary meeting of Council to be held on 27/4/21 that the Golden Plains Shire Council investigates and prepares a report on the feasibility, implications and benefits of the Shire facilitating environmental upgrade financial agreements to all businesses and homeowners within the Golden Plains Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Any questions? Oh, do you have a seconder to your motion? Sorry. Councillor Whitfield. Any questions, councillors? No, no questions. Okay. Just give me 2 secs. Okay, Councillor Gamble, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, please. Thank you. I have provided the other councillors with background material about what the EUFA, as a shortened, the acronym for them, is called. The environmental upgrade financial agreements. Well, they're a thing that the state government has legislated on. I think it was about 18 months ago. It's Victorian homeowners. I'll just read out how they define it. Victorian homeowners and businesses can upgrade their buildings to be more energy efficient, sustainable and climate resilient through council-based loans called environmental upgrade finance. otherwise known as environmental upgrade agreements. The idea of them is to provide funding for businesses and homeowners wanting to make sustainability, that's it, e.g. energy efficiency, or climate adaptation, and that includes things like home sprinklers for bushfire protection, as building upgrades. Under these loans, lenders, financial institutions separate from the council, provide finance to the property owner for the upgrade, and the property owner repays the loan through council rates. The Victorian Government has expanded EUF to enable councils to offer this finance opportunity to Victorian homeowners interested in making their homes more sustainable or climate resilient. Before this legislative change, this type of sustainability loan was only offered to commercial property owners. So it's a new scheme that has a lot of potential, I think, and I'm asking for a report for council officers to look at the feasibility implications, the suitability, and the financial backing, and any also examples of other councils, perhaps other countries even implementing such a scheme. I believe this scheme has the potential for providing the best bang for the buck possible from council's perspective of reducing carbon emissions in the community. We've passed a plan for our own council tonight, but this one is about getting practical actions to reduce carbon emissions out there in the community. So I really hope it turns out to be a real goer, and I see these agreements as part of the state government's Big Build post-COVID program, offering both climate mitigation and economic stimulus. It will, if it works out, will stimulate a lot of jobs. There'll be benefits right through the community, which would also apply to our own shire.
Councillor Gamble. Councillor Whitfield.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, this, as Councillor Gamble said, this is a state government sanctioned initiative, and from reading the links that Councillor Gamble has sent to us, it does look to be a good one. But nonetheless, I'll still be interested to see the report come in, showing what it means for the organisation in regards to the implementation of it and the resources required to operate it, and even a recommendation as to whether this is the best program in this space. But yes, absolutely happy to support that. Thank you.
Councillor Whitfield. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion?
Madam Mayor.
Councillor
Thank you,
Cunningham.
Madam Mayor.
Thank
I
you.
just want to commend Councillor Gamble on his commitment to this, and as I say, he's did forward a lot of information and links for myself and fellow councillors to read about and become more aware. So yeah, I think well done, Councillor Gamble. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? If not, Councillor Gamble, would you like to sum up?
Also, just that if to follow this, the council will be acting in accordance with its own environmental sustainability strategic plan, and be of great benefits to citizens, to our, to residents. It'll have financial, environmental, safety and health, and well-being benefits, and if it probably will involve some additional resourcing from the council end, but I commend that we get a report and have a good look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. All right, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Okay. Item 8.2, notice of motion, welcome and invite representatives of the Eastern Mar Aboriginal Corporation to attend and speak at a main council meeting. Thank you, Mr. Breslis.
Again, I'll refer this to Councillor Gamble as he put the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this stage, I wish to withdraw this motion, Mayor. I've had second considerations and some advice that maybe there could be other ways to look at this invitation to for us to welcome the Eastern Maar, and perhaps a council meeting mightn't be the best forum. So I'll withdraw it at this stage and foreshadow I'll pursue it at a later date.
Thank you.
No, sorry, not as a motion.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Do we have to vote? Sorry, thank you. No. I was thinking just even against it, sorry. Item 8.3, notice of motion, quarterly reports to the Council on actions, progress and implementation of the recommendations as contained in the Sexual Harassment in Local Council report. Thank you, Mr. Gamble.
I'm moving this motion that the Golden Plains Shire Council provides quarterly reports to the Council on actions, progress and implementation of the recommendations as contained in the Sexual Harassment in Local Government report conducted by the Victorian Auditor General's Office, December 2020, and adopted by Golden Plains Council in February 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Do we have any questions? No questions? Hey, do I have a mover? Councillor Gamble. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cunningham. Would you like to speak, Councillor Gamble?
The reasoning for this motion is that it will provide information to the councillors, council staff and the community on the progress of implementing the recommendations. It will signal to the community and council staff the seriousness of the issue and raise the general consciousness of the issue. It will also assist council in providing leadership and understanding of how the issue is being addressed. And finally, it will help create a culture of respect and safety where anyone who suffers sexual harassment can feel they can report or speak out but be listened to and actions taken.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Councillor Cunningham, would you like to
No, just to say I fully support Councillor Gamble's statement and words. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Councillor Sharkey.
Very much, Madam Mayor. Whilst I appreciate the intent of this, what the motion is asking Council to do is to provide a quarterly report. I'd like to remind councillors, we are, in my opinion, we're a leader in this space, and I have said it before that I commend the CEO in having brought this issue to the forefront of Victoria in terms of asking the staff and the organisation, the staff, to take part in the survey that went around, that performed the VAGO report. Out of that VAGO report then came several recommendations. Having gone through that again, that there is no recommendation there from professionals to say that it would be more open and transparent with the community to bring forward a quarterly report. So this isn't coming from any professional advice. The organisation, we as councillors have the opportunity to challenge the organisation in this space. If this motion isn't supported tonight, it's not going to disappear. We, as an organisation, have to now implement those VAGO report recommendations. This is an operational matter. The CEO, the organisation will report...
A point of order there, Councillor Sharkey. It's not just a council internal matter. This also includes councillors in the report. Would you like to remove that statement?
In my opinion, this is largely an operational matter.
Yeah, but it does include councillors in the VAGO report.
It does, but it's still it is an operational matter. But it's something that the organisation then reports to the Audit and Risk Committee. So the Audit and Risk Committee, attended by two councillors here and 3 independents, will then have the opportunity to scrutinise the organisation and ask senior management questions around the implementation of that. And then from that report then it comes to council as a quarterly report. So what we're going to end up doing if we support this motion is have duplicating reports. So we're, and I challenge councillors to read the Audit and Risk Committee reviews that come in quarterly, get down into the depths of that, and you will find this quarterly report. And you have the opportunity at a quarterly meeting to ask questions to the CEO with regards to this sexual harassment and how are we doing in this space. We have the opportunity to do that. What this motion is asking us to do is duplicate something that we're already doing. Whilst I fully appreciate the intent of it, in my personal opinion, this motion is asking council to do something that we're already doing, and I'd prefer and challenge councillors to read the documents that's already there. So I can't support this motion, not because of any of the content there, because the motion is asking council to put a report forward for something we're already doing a report for. So it's just duplication of paperwork and reporting. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Whitfield.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I believe by following this motion we can choose to fully acknowledge the seriousness of the VAGO report. We can piggyback on our leadership position in this area where we were the only council to release our statistics. The statistics released showed that although we were marginally better than placed than some other councils, the results warrant immediate active measures to be taken. And it would be remiss of us not to monitor those measures closely. I acknowledge Councillor Sharkey's point of doubling down on officer time and that as councillors we could delve into those reports in more depth. But I would assume that the audit and risk reports are a tool that enable us to identify areas of concern. And I believe it would be common practice to then write a report about that area of common concern. So I think in this case, having a report written on a matter that is highlighted through the audit and risk would be quite acceptable. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for the motion? Any councillors speak against the motion? Councillor Gamble, would you like to sum up? Thank you.
I acknowledge Councillor Sharkey's points, and it is a good thing that we have mandated requirements to consider these issues. But I propose, or I contend that my motion will demonstrate initiative from us as a council group, councillors, and set a stronger culture, a signal that and provide some community leadership on this issue that is an extra level of public visibility, hopefully, and hopefully that will be a good thing in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Okay, I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried.
Can I call for a division? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, you may. All those in favour? Councillor Getson, Councillor Gamble, Councillor Rowe, Councillor Whitfield, Councillor Cunningham, Councillor Kirby. Those against? Lucky. Thank you, councillors. Item 8.4. As I have a perceived conflict of interest within the community of Rokewood and the Shire, and the sharing of a petition, but I am just noting that I did not sign the petition, nor did my family, so I'll leave the chair and let Councillor get some takeover. Thank you.
Item 8.4, notice of motion to rescind the previous resolution of council adopted at the unscheduled meeting on 16/4/2021. I'll ask the CEO, Eric Brassos, to introduce the report.
I'll allow Councillor Sharkey to do it as he put the notice of motion.
Very much, CEO, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Councillors, with a not easily did I put forward this motion to rescind. I've never rescinded a motion before.
We will need a seconder.
Sorry.
Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rowe. Councillor Sharkey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This notice to rescind the motion came in after the last meeting. I did put down there in this motion the rationale behind that decision, and whilst going through a couple of those notes, there was two councillors that were not present, appreciating we did have a quorum. One councillor did not receive any notification of the unscheduled meeting that was held. Notification of the meeting was received on the same day as the meeting and conducted without insufficient time to review papers and prepare. Exceptional circumstances for this meeting justifying an unscheduled meeting did not exist. The lack of clarity and understanding of the proposed motions during the meeting. I concerns that also put in here that it concerns that a precedent has been set for the way forward with future petitions. I had members of the community get in touch with me with regards to, well, if that's how you're going to do a petition, then is that how you're going to do petitions each and every time, and why is one more of an emergency than the other? The purpose of this notice of motion to rescind the previous resolution is to provide Council, which we have had, the opportunity to properly consider the implications of the resolution of Council, and whether that Council is requesting the Minister to do is what is actually legal, which we have all been provided now with legal advice, both the legal advice that came in prior to the extraordinary meeting, which was the expert advice from the lawyers, was that the petition that was before us was flawed with its request asking us to do something that we as a council do not have the power to do. So we held an emergency meeting for a motion that had been advised to us by lawyers that we do not have the power to do. Compulsory acquisition is when an authority like the government acquires privately owned land or property for public purposes such as large infrastructure projects and other public acquisition overlays. The resolution that we passed as a council was fundamentally flawed and did not meet the relevant tests in terms of compulsory acquisition or public acquisition. This has the potential for reputational and organisational risk. Resolution passed does not meet the above requirements for public acquisition, and the use of the land for a place of worship is not public purpose. And my understanding at that moment, having put that motion forward to rescind, was that the motion resolved was flawed, as any notice of intent to acquire can only be served after the land has been requested for public purpose or is the subject for certification by the Governor in Council. We've received We've received quite a substantial amount of legal advice on this matter. I did raise at the meeting as well that the Mayor had declared a direct conflict of interest, which he has appreciated and acknowledged here tonight by declaring a conflict of interest. And I think it's really important for us as councillors to make sure, we've had this conversation a couple of times with regards to community consultation, and you know, we as councillors have the right to share with the community and say, well, look, here it is. Here's a petition or that. But the fundamental difference here is that we have had the Mayor actually put a petition out and ask people, save the church, sign this petition. And I think you really are stepping over a line when you ask the community to sign a petition and to do that. And we as all councillors have the right to go off and do what we passionately believe in, but how we deliver that to the council is different. I raised at the meeting, a chair must be impartial to a decision, and this decision made by council came from not being impartial and pushing this through. As I said, in this, that the Mayor's actions in promoting the petition suggested the Mayor had a predetermined view prior to calling the meeting and considering the matter. Having been the Mayor for a couple of years, I absolutely know and appreciate the level of expertise that is surrounded by you, and the advice coming in from that. We did this in an ad hoc manner. We rushed this through. We had councillors moving motions and not knowing what they were moving for. This motion to rescind it has created stir, has not been well received. It's put me in an uncomfortable position to have to do this, but that uncomfortable decision has allowed us additional time to receive further information from experts that are far more intelligent than us as councillors with regards to their expertise in certain areas. So I put this motion forward to rescind, and was a very difficult document to put together. I put this together because it is what I believe in. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Sharkey, we've had a motion put forward from Councillor Sharkey. Do you want to move that motion, Councillor Sharkey? Councillor Rose seconded it?
Yeah, Sharkey moved it.
Anyone who speak to for or against the motion?
I was the seconder.
Yep.
Councillor Rowe, would you like to speak on the motion?
Yes. Thank you there, Mr. Mayor. It's a bit disappointing to me, particularly, that this urgent meeting was called so suddenly while I was on leave over the recent school holidays. I had not received notification of it prior, as notification of the meeting happened on the same day the meeting was conducted. In my 5 years on council, I haven't missed a council meeting until this occasion, through no fault of my own. I question the urgency of this actual meeting. The resolution passed by council on the 16th of the 4th, 21 is absolutely flawed and does not meet the relevant tests in terms of compulsory acquisition or public acquisition. The Mayor should have declared a conflict of interest during that meeting, I believe, having passionately promoted the petition across the Shire with immediate family members in my book. For a church to close and be sold off like this, it suggests to me that the Rokewood and District residents were not attending services in this building. And if they wanted to retain the church, they should have showed support by attending it in larger numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rowe. Any other councillors wish to speak or discuss the motion? Councillor Whitfield.
Thanks. Speaking for the motion, thanks, Deputy Mayor. Yes, the emergency meeting that took place, in my opinion, did not allow for full comprehension of the situation, as is the nature of emergency meetings. As good as the intentions of councillors were, preparedness for it, I feel, could have been better. Since that meeting, much information has come to hand, and further investigation is still warranted, even though contracts of sale have been signed. I supported the original motion because of an opportunity to step up for a community cause. I feel that even though the emergency meeting was called and held in a short time frame, thus giving it a sense of urgency, I could have asked for a deferment until I was confident that I had a comprehensive view of the scenario and any implications. I believe starting the process over to enable council to support the Rokewood community in a measured and methodical way will be the best outcome. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Cunningham.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Jepson. Following the recent council meeting called on Friday the 16th of April, I've become more wiser and more informed by further information and details that I've been able to access. I fully understand and also acknowledge Councillor Sharkey's concerns and his right to submit a motion to rescind this previous resolution of council adopted at the unscheduled council meeting on the 16th of the 4th. I also acknowledge and appreciate that Councillor Sharkey and myself took the opportunity this afternoon to discuss this matter further and to try and reach a favourable outcome. I also acknowledge Councillor Kirby's commitment to her community. It is unfortunate that there appears to be a dispute between the religious denominations and the residents of the Rokewood regarding the place of community worship and beautiful historical building. A building that was established by land bought and paid for by the community of Rokewood on the 11th of May 1865. The same community that fully funded its construction and assisted in the establishment of the familiar, comforting spiritual home for the entire town. The same spiritual home that many of the town's residents gathered out on Sunday morning, like many other people across the nation did, to observe Anzac Day. The Rokewood Church is a place of many long-lasting memories, such as baptisms, weddings, funerals, and the community events. The town's spiritual home since the church opened its doors in 1866. One of the principles of the Westminster system of government, as Australia follows, is the concept of the separation of state and church. However, I believe this concept changed when the religious schools started to receive funding, particularly from state government. This can now be seen as a grey area in the concept of separation. In the case of the Rokewood Church, which was placed under trust, and if this trust had any component of state government content or involvement, then I believe it is fair to say the state needs to be reviewing this current matter. I'm not asking council to become financially involved. However, we do believe that it is appropriate for council to ensure the appropriate state government minister is informed of this community matter. As such, my fellow councillors ask their CEO forward the petition that was received by council to the Honourable Member of Polwarth, Mr Richard Reardon, to table in Parliament and for this matter to be discussed further and reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to close the debate? Oh, sorry, any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Gamble.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I'm speaking for the motion. I accept that many of Councillor Sharkey's arguments, and just a bit of background. I was motivated at that unscheduled meeting by the desire to support the Mayor, the community initiatives, in the terms of the 250 odd petitioners in a town of like 300, so that is a significant community feeling about an issue. So I believe that was right to receive that petition in the first instance. I wasn't ever going to attribute funds from our council towards acquisition. And the legal advice that we received before the meetings, to my mind, applied to the notion of acquisition, which I was never going to go along with. But I accept the best way forward is to rescind this motion, and the previous resolution of the council. A large part of it is for protecting the council's own interests and reputation, and unfortunately the conflict of interest issues has also made this quite a more difficult and emotional last couple of weeks in deciding which way to go on this issue, but I will be voting for the rescinding of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Any other councillors like to speak? Then I'll ask Councillor Sharkey, would you like to sum up?
Very much, Mr. Chair. The councillors, this is an extremely important lesson that we have learnt here tonight. We have a code of conduct there. We've all gone through that code of conduct. There's several items in that code of conduct that were overlooked during this meeting. It does stipulate in there that we need to take due process with things, and we rushed this meeting and we went against everything. We went against everything that we had been told, and when things happen, and I know myself, I've said to councillors, I do struggle to support motions that come at meetings in such a rushed manner because whether it's just me personally, I need time to consider things, and that meeting we did not give due consideration and time. We overlooked what we have in our documents there, and the one thing that we all voted and got on and all passionately support is community consultation. There was no community consultation in that. We made a decision without any community consultation. We must listen to all parts of the community, and we shouldn't show favouritism to one petition over another. We've always taken a petition, noted it, and then bring back a report. And out of that report, then, if we had done that, out of that report would have come the professional advice that we've received this week, and then it puts us in a better position. The community is genuinely confused out there now with regards to and sometimes we need to dissect those petitions. I know people that have signed that petition and their understanding of it is completely different to what it is, but we need to dissect those things to make good decisions. This lesson that is learnt here does come at a cost to council. We've just gone through some of the biggest documents that we put together, appreciating staff and the organisation are getting all this agenda ready, and the organisation for a couple of days had to run round to get this night, and with all the legal fees, all the advice, staff time, this has cost the organisation in excess of $15,000. So tens of thousands of dollars has been wasted of ratepayers' money on that decision, and that's really disappointing. It's something that we will be held accountable for, and I know that there's parts of the community that hold us accountable to all the decisions we make, but as a ratepayer they have to be disappointed to have seen that that time and effort being wasted. Myself and Councillor Gamble got an earful from a resident Saturday morning with his thoughts on the situation. Our role is to advocate, and this motion to rescind does not remove our intent to support the community. It's just finding the way that is best to support the community. And as Councillor Cunningham mentioned there before, the community have now got a second petition which is aimed at the state government. Richard Reardon has that petition in his office. And whilst Richard isn't running the petition per se, he's advocating for the community and allowing them to put that forward, and then that will be his role to table that, bring it to Parliament and have that discussion. And that's where our role is sometimes on these matters, to passionately support the community and show them the ways in which we can go about things. I acknowledge that the Mayor has rightfully declared a conflict of interest. after seeking advice today. Given the nature of this situation, and having sat in the mayoral role, and as I said before, you are surrounded by absolute experts. You're surrounded by absolutely CEOs, senior management, people that, well, for me anyhow, when I was there, far more intelligent than what I am, and you are able to lean on their expertise. The Mayor sought advice today with regards to the conflict of interest. In my personal opinion, that is a question that should have been asked 2 weeks ago to save ratepayers a substantial amount of time, effort, money, and also putting the money and that aside, it's not given a community a false sense of hope. As bad decisions cost us and the organisation a lot of money. There is reputational damage. Every meeting that I've attended in the last couple of weeks has come with the church issue. We made the Australian newspaper page 3, Herald Sun. We got 22 pages last week in our councillor report of articles in papers and newspapers regarding the issue. It's not the attention that we want as councils. We would prefer to be making page 3 of the Australian newspaper for things that for good news rather than bad news. And you know, I ask councillors to take the time and not rush into decisions. Sometimes what seems like a good decision isn't always a good decision. You need to dissect it, consume that information, and then come back and make that. We also need to appreciate the wealth of knowledge that we are surrounded by. Every councillor prior to that rush meeting had the opportunity to question the Mayor on her report, but also to question one another as councillors, or question the CEO and organisation with regards to all of that information to make good decisions. It is our role to challenge them at times, but there's times when we really need to listen to that advice. We've received now pages of information from solicitors on this, and I urge the Mayor, and I ask the Mayor to really appreciate, acknowledge and lean on the support that is there internally in the organisation, and listen to that advice given before flippantly using ratepayers' resources for something such as this. So I think to close up, we as councillors have learnt a very valuable and expensive lesson.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. I'll now put the motion to rescind to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion is carried. Thank you.
The rescission motion was carried.
Item 8.5, notice of motion for council to provide leadership and acknowledgement of the climate emergency. Thank you, Mr. Bresless.
Again, I'll refer this to Councillor Gamble as he put the notice of motion.
Moving a motion that the council acknowledges, point 1, acknowledges we're in a state of climate emergency that requires urgent action by all levels of government, including local government. Second one, embeds this climate emergency acknowledgement and declaration into the council plan, future strategies and budgetary processes. Third point, undertakes meaningful actions per an investigative report and recommendations by council officers to be presented to the May council meeting.
We have a seconder to the motion. Councillor Sharkey. Any questions, councillors? No questions? Yet. Councillor Whitfield.
Madam Mayor. I would like to support this motion, but I would like to ask that the mover and seconder, if they will permit the wording of recommendation 3, which is, I don't see it up on the screen there at the moment. Recommendation 3 be changed just to provide a bit greater clarity and to ensure that we do our due diligence before this matter is carried before us for a decision. Yeah, so would the mover and seconder consider replacing recommendation 3 with council officers provide a report at a future meeting of council advising on the potential implications of this resolution and research actions taken by other councils in response to their declaration of a climate emergency?
Yes, I would.
Just to get clarity on, so that's amending point 3, or is the intent to hold back the whole item and have that report first and then come back with the whole?
The intent is to see the report first. Yep. So that's not working there, is it?
Point of order, you said item 3, Councillor Whitfield.
Sorry?
You said item 3?
Item 3?
Yeah, point 3?
Point 3, yes.
Yes.
I was going to replace that with this. Obviously have confused the situation. So...
appreciating your intent, Councillor Whitfield, and with the permission of the mover, I'm happy if you wanted to put forward an alternative motion that.
A motion because we've got a mover and a seconder.
It's happy to foreshadow a motion to do just that. Council officers provide a report at a future meeting of council advising on the potential implications of this resolution and research actions taken by other councils in response to their declaration of a climate.
You don't have to read out until it comes to the floor.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, with that in mind, I'd like to withdraw my seconding of the motion.
Okay, yep, that's fine. Councillor, do we have a seconder yet to the motion, to the new
No, a
amendment?
seconder to Councillor Gamble's original motion.
Yes.
Councillor Sharkey's withdrawn, so is there a seconder for Councillor Gamble? If not, the foreshadowed motion of Councillor Whitfield will be as he's read. No seconder, the matter will lapse.
Yes.
I'm happy to second Councillor Whitfield's motion.
You've already seconded.
So there's that
okay,
motion.
Thank you.
So I'm happy.
Yep.
Thanks,
So,
Madam Mayor.
if you're seconding, you can speak now. Yes.
I'm moving
it.
Yes. Sorry I apologise for the confusion. Yes, as I stated, reasons being that I would, given recent events, a little bit gun shy, want to make sure we cross all our T's and dot all our I's and get a report in to do our due diligence prior to moving the motion that Councillor Gamble put before us. That's the reasoning. Do you want me to read the actual motion again?
Oh, we've got a copy.
You got it? Thank you.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion?
Seconding the,
oh, sorry, seconding,
the
sorry.
motion, Madam Mayor. I commend Councillor Gamble for bringing this this forward. I know in the last council term I tried to take this approach in terms of trying to bring forward a report. So nice to see support here would be nice to see support on this here tonight. We are doing it now in a two-stage approach where we and duplicating what I said on the last item in terms of we as councillors now have the opportunity to have a report come to us, and then at a later date, if it is council's decision to acknowledge that we are in a state of climate emergency, we can do so with a little bit more substance behind us and a report brought to us. So it's definitely, Councillor, my understanding of this motion put forward by Councillor Whitfield is not is no disrespect whatsoever to the actual motion that's been put here. Its intent is to provide us with further information to be better equipped and better be able to speak to this when and if the matter comes at a later meeting. So thank you very much.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion? Anyone who'd like to speak for the motion?
Can I speak for it?
No, you. Oh, yes, you can. Sorry, you, because you.
Thank you. I accept the modification to the motion, or the new foreshadowed motion. Is that what you call it? The new motion. Given the climate of what we just engaged with in the previous issue, the intent of my motion was to seek recommendations and understanding of how the issue is best addressed by Golden Plains Council and Shire, but I was raising it as a matter of principle first, and then we can determine the implications. But I accept doing it with the report, and feedback is acceptable to me, and should still lead to a good outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Is there anyone else like to speak? Councillor Rowe.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I'd like to take my hat off to Councillor Whitfield, to be honest with you, on his thoughts moving forward and getting a better understanding of this topic prior to making any decisions. So I'd like to commend him for that. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak against the motion? For? If not, Councillor Gamble, you can sum up. Councillor Whitfield, sorry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look forward to this going forward. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I've confused myself who seconded. Councillor Gamble, I think he's Sharkey, sorry.
Councillor Sharkey.
Okay. So I'll put it, did you want to speak? Sorry, Councillor Whitfield.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 9, no petitions. Item urgent business, none. Item 10, confidential reports for decision. There are confidential items for consideration tonight. I will now ask the members of the gallery to leave the meeting so the meeting can move into a closed session. Can I have a councillor move and second the resolution to move into a closed session? Councillor Getsom and Councillor